Hi there. Before I start, I just wanted to mention this game here, which I didn't find a way to organically include into the script for today's episode, but this is a game that I've always really liked, and it baffles me the number of people that over the years have come up to me and told me that they finished it in just 2 hours. To me, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of what this game is. It's an arcade-based score challenge, and there is no end to it. There's always going to be another reason why you're going to come back and try and beat your top score. Anyway, let's get on with the episode. Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and since I debuted this series over 3 years ago now, I've made a brand new episode every 2 weeks, and it's been an absolute thrill to see it grow and improve over that time. The comments that I get under each video tells me that you like watching them too, and believe me, I am eternally grateful for every single view. The time, however, has come to make a change, and as they have become more difficult and time-consuming to create, that's led me to the decision that I'm now going to produce just one episode a month. This should hopefully allow me to improve the quality of the episodes, but don't worry, on the vacant weeks I have a new type of video that I'm going to debut. I'll share more about that soon. Now though, let's get to the subject of today's episode. The Killing Game Show was an action platform game released in 1990 by Psygnosis, and it was made by developer Raising Hell Software. Nobody would blame you if you haven't heard of Raising Hell Software. The Killing Game Show was, after all, the only game released under that name. You probably know them better as Bizarre Creations, after they changed their name in the mid-90s. They were founded in 1988 by Martin Chudley, and his first game was the Commodore 64 action platform shooter Combat Crazy, which was published by Firebird. Chudley would then send a demo of his next game off to Psygnosis in Liverpool, and that game ended up becoming The Killing Game Show. When they produced the Sega Mega Drive version, which was retitled Fatal Rewind, Sega decided that their name was inappropriate, and so the team went without a name for a short while. During this time, they produced the cute platform game Wiz and Liz, and when it came time to bring that game to the Amiga, they teamed up with Lunatic Software, who had just made Cytron for Psygnosis. In 1993, Psygnosis were bought out by Sony, who had actually published most of their games on 16-bit consoles. This connection to Sony meant that the team were chosen to make the officially licensed Formula 1 game, and that game was to become the first game to carry the name Bizarre Creations. It was released for the PlayStation in 1996 to strong reviews, and it went on to become the best-selling game of the year in Europe. Following a successful sequel a year later, Bizarre found themselves being approached by Sega to produce a street racing game for the upcoming Dreamcast console. Metropolis Street Racer was originally intended to be a launch title for that console, but ended up being delayed by a year. When it finally did come out in November 2000, it was praised for both its realism and graphics. Also on Dreamcast, they produced the hugely enjoyable Fur Fighters, which was published by Acclaim. This was a fun fusion of fast action shooter and cute platformer, and it went on to receive a PlayStation 2 release in 2001, with a number of improvements and gameplay enhancements. Thankfully, a much more successful spiritual sequel arrived just 1 year later as a launch title for Microsoft's Xbox. Due to Sega owning the original title though, the name had to be changed. Project Gotham Racing and its 3 sequels was to become one of the crown jewels in the Xbox's lineup. As a racing game fan, I would actually credit the second game in the series as the reason why I bought my first Xbox. They would also produce a couple of smaller titles for Microsoft that would become 2 of the key titles for the launch of a new Xbox Live Arcade marketplace. Geometry Wars and Boom Boom Rocket were both hugely enjoyable arcade games and absolutely perfect for the service. Geometry Wars was even a hidden, fully playable arcade cabinet in Project Gotham Racing 2. Around the release of Project Gotham Racing 4, it was announced that Bizarre Creations had been acquired by Activision for a fee believed to be around $67 million. After producing just 2 games for Activision, the excellent arcade racer Blur and the underrated 007 Bloodstone, they were sadly closed down in 2011. Much of the team went on to found Destruction All-Stars developer Lucid Games, whereas Chudley used his newfound freedom His words, not mine, to pursue his love of photography. Now though, let's go back to 1990 and see what the magazines had to say about Killing Game Show. In 1990, when the Killing Game Show came out, the Atari ST and Amiga were receiving an equal amount of coverage from the British gaming press. There was a similar number of publications for each magazine. The one covered all 16-bit games, not just the Amiga, and there was a number of multi-format magazines to read as well. This meant that I was still able to find a good quota of reviews to look at. The first review to appear anywhere was in the September 1990 issue of The One, who loved the action replay feature and said that the game was very slick and well presented, as they went on to give it a score of 87%. The next review was in the October issue of Zero, who were very impressed with the graphics and said it offered a nice level of difficulty, calling it a meaty shoot 'em up, as they went on to give it a score of 89%. That same score was given out by Zap64 in their review in December, whereas CMVG would give it a score of just 83%. Amiga Format was the first Amiga-centric magazine to review it, and their score of 92% would be the highest score that the game would receive. They said that it was another audiovisual gem from Psygnosis, with superb gameplay to match. Although Amiga Power didn't review it, the game did appear in their top 100 games of all time, which was published in their first issue. It placed at number 59, sandwiched between Battle Command and IK+. From 7 reviews that I found in UK magazines, the average score was 86.6%, whereas the user score on Lemon Amiga is currently 7.09 out of 10 from 116 votes, the vast majority of the scores being either 8 or 7 out of 10. Now though, let's load the game up and see what it's like to play today. It's time for the playtest. Yes, the good old Psygnosis intro. I sat and watched many of these in my time. And I also think this one did get loaded up quite a few times and just shown to my friends as well. No idea why they made a robot that looked like a chicken in this game, but there you go. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those Amiga games that forces you to choose between having music or sound effects. So as you can see, it's F9 for music, F10 for sound effects. So let's play it with a little bit. Let's play it with some music first and foremost, then, shall we? So as you can see, there are arrows in the background telling you which direction to go. Basically, there's a rising water level at the bottom of every level that you have to beat to the top. It's telling me to go right. Very nice graphics, or nice smooth parallax scrolling. Still looks great even all these years later. And that's the first level done. So this is the first level where you start to get different shaped keys that you're going to have to use. So pick up that triangle, and then you have to hold down the fire button. That will place it in the slot. That took a lot of health off me. Oh no. So you don't forget that the last life will be replayed. So when the level replay starts, as I am not touching the controls here whatsoever, this is the game replaying it for me. This is my last life exactly as it was. I can hold down the F key and that will fast forward through it. Basically all I have to do is touch the joystick at any point and I can take over. Taking out waves of enemies will give you heart pickups, which is something that you're going to need, certainly on later levels. And this weapon will actually clear the mines on the floor. As you can see, the levels will loop around. I have a feeling that if somebody tried to make a remake of this today, they could probably do it in the style of
of Rezo done, in the way that that game rotates around the level. I think that would be pretty incredible, to be honest. So with 2 levels complete, that will now take me to the second world, so the graphic style will now change. Basically, you get 2 levels each in the different graphical styles. Don't know where the water's up to. Would be nice to have some kind of indicator telling you where the water is actually up to on the different any stage. Especially as you keep having to drop down platforms like that. Health, yes. And there we go, level done. Right, let's play with sound effects instead. And as you can see, I can actually start from the second world this time. So I don't have to go back and replay. I honestly think, good as the music is, the game is actually better with sound effects. I don't need that key. There's no door with that shaped lock anywhere. Well, it's there, but how do I get to it? No, that water's too high. But as you can see, the levels do get pretty complicated. So it's more than just a mindless blast. Quite tricky to remember that this game came out when it did. I mean, 1990 was before many of the classic Amiga games that people remember. And there are many games released in 92 and 93 that don't look as good as this one. You really do have to keep your eye on quite a lot of different things, because I didn't even notice that my health was low on that run, to be honest. No! Game over. Damn. Well, I think I've shown you enough. That's going to be where I'm going to end the playtest for today. So let's get on to the final summary and give it a score.
I've said many times in the past that the thing that annoys me the most about gaming is repetition. Having to replay an entire level upon dying is one of those things that can make me knock scores off at the end of a review. The Killing Game Show, however, finds a very neat way to sidestep that issue by having the game replay the level for you. Touching the joystick at any point during the replay will allow you to retake control. No longer do I have to slog through sections of the game that I've played hundreds of times before, and I can instead concentrate on what I'm supposed to be doing next. It ends up making the game much more enjoyable overall, in where a lot of love has gone into the presentation. The parallax scrolling is smooth and impressive. As are the enemy attack patterns. I did find that the backgrounds only occasionally got muddled and confusing, meaning that I missed a tool or weapon pickup, but it isn't enough to drag the game down. The music is excellent too and really helps to get the adrenaline pumping. Sadly though, I don't really get to hear it as I play. Once again, the choice between music or sound effects sours the overall experience. Personally, I definitely prefer to play the game with the speech and sound effects enabled. The Killing Game Show finds itself surrounded by lots of good company within the recommended section of the action platformer Super League. I don't think there's quite enough here to nudge it up into the essential category, but it's definitely a game that's still worth playing all these years after release. This is a game that succeeds by keeping the basic core of the gameplay nice and simple. I'd have probably given it a score of 9 out of 10 when it originally released, but today I would drop it down slightly to an 8 or a 7. So that's it for another episode of the re-review. If The Killing Game Show is a game that you played back in the day, I'd love to hear your memories of it. If you think that I'm completely wrong in my assessment, I'd love to hear from you too. If there's a game that you'd really like to see me cover on this channel, whether it's in this series or as a live stream, you can join our Discord, where there is a section dedicated to game suggestions. We also have a monthly score challenge on there, as well as a rolling quiz, amongst the usual gaming chat. If watching these videos earlier than anybody else is something that appeals to you, that's one of the perks of becoming a channel VIP member. It costs just £1.99 a month, and by supporting us, it allows us to keep doing what we do. You can follow the link in the description for full details, or simply giving us a like and subscribe will show your support for the channel as well. As it's October next month, I will still have 2 episodes of this series for you, as well as lots of other spooky content for Halloween as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody. Bye for now.